Hello and welcome to another SMS Projects video. I'm Stu Stones. Today, as I'm filming this, it's the 1st of December and I'm switching to the dark side, or the enlightened side, or the other side. I'm swapping from iOS to Android for a month. Ever since the 4S came out in 2011, I've had an iPhone, so iOS is all I've known for 5 years. My current phone, the iPhone 6, is now 2 years old and is suffering from questionable battery life and patchy Wi-Fi and GPS reception. So before I get it fixed or upgrade, I've succumbed to peer pressure and agreed to give Android a go for a month. The phone I've got to test is the OnePlus 2. It's just over a year old and runs Android Marshmallow. Now this experiment isn't a review of this particular phone, it's simply a spare phone my company had which I can use. So here's the moment of truth. I'm switching my SIM card over from the iPhone to the OnePlus 2. The OnePlus 2 has already been factory reset, so when it boots up it will be a true out-of-box first boot. What's happening now is the Android first boot, where I select my country, skip the Wi-Fi setup for now, tell Android I don't have another device to restore from, and enter my Google password. After I accept Google's terms of service, I leave Google services enabled, which includes backups of my settings, similar to iCloud backups. I'll skip payment methods for now, along with adding email accounts. I also skip the secure lock screen for now, I'll do that later on. As the OnePlus 2 has hardware capacitive buttons, I don't need to use software buttons, but I do enable home screen gestures. And that's the initial setup complete. On the whole, quite painless. Since I've never used Android before, I have no Play Store apps. Out of the 155 iPhone apps I have, I've decided on 75 that I use regularly enough to install on the OnePlus 2. Here I am installing the Amazon Shopping app. I'll not torture you with the installation of the other 74. Some apps on my list I found were iOS only, but I was able to find equivalent Android apps without too much trouble. Organising apps into folders is the same as on the iPhone, no problems there. Within 24 hours of the first boot, my stock apps have been updated, and apps continue to update whenever I'm on Wi-Fi. It's now been 7 days since I switched to Android. I will admit I've had to use my iPhone for a couple of tasks during the week, namely internet banking as the two-factor login app is tied to that phone. But the main thing I miss so far is iMessage, as many of my friends and my wife use iPhones and they don't tend to use WhatsApp or some other messaging app, so at the moment I'm stuck sending simple text messages. Apart from that, I've not really craved anything iOS, which has really surprised me. But if I was to pick one annoyance, it would be that on an iPhone I can open the calculator or alarm clock direct from the lock screen without going all the way into the phone. On Android I have to log in and start the app, which for me is an unnecessary few extra clicks, but I'm sure there's an app for that. One personal preference I've fixed is to put the iOS notification sounds on my Android, courtesy of an app called Zedge. The reason for this is I simply didn't like any of the stock Android notification sounds, and after 4 years I'm simply used to those noises. Staying with notifications, Android has one default sound for every notification, so without changing each app individually, it's hard to tell whether you have a text message, email or a Facebook update. So once I'd changed my notification sounds, organised my apps and used the phone for a while, I have to admit I quite like Android. I didn't like the earlier look and feel of Android, I thought it was too cartoony, but that was quite a few years ago. A bit like Windows Mobile was towards the end, and not serious enough for corporate users. On the recommendation of a friend, I'm not using the inbuilt mail and calendar apps, in favour of an app called 9, which connects to my Hosted Exchange 2010 and 2016 accounts seamlessly. Much better than Microsoft's own Outlook app, which I uninstalled after just 1 day. Outlook was sluggish for me and didn't use Exchange Auto Discover, meaning I had to set up Exchange accounts manually. Why, Microsoft? Why? 9 connects to multiple Exchange, my Hotmail and IMAP accounts with ease. My mail, calendar, tasks and Outlook notes are all in one place and easy to get to. I use Outlook notes. I have lots of Outlook notes. I can even use the same HTML email signature on 9 as I do on Outlook on the PC, something you can't do with other email apps. Outlook. So, for productivity, thumbs up. Android, and bear in mind I've only ever used Marshmallow on this phone, is quick and responsive. I've found many more settings I can tweak than in iOS, and to which my friends simply say,
"That's because it's an open operating system."
Being open both excites and concerns me. Free of Apple's walled garden does mean I can do more on my phone in terms of using it as a device, but it also means I'm vulnerable to buggy apps, apps which might send my personal data to fraudsters, or even secretly dial premium rate numbers in the middle of the night. But if I exercise some caution and common sense, only installing apps from Google Play and only installing apps which have got good reviews, I should be fine. I could also install an antivirus app for added protection, something I've not needed to do on iOS, I'll admit. The jury's still out, still using it, back in a few days. Today is now the 10th of December, and I've now managed to migrate my work apps and internet banking tokens to the OnePlus 2, so I've not had to use my iPhone now for 4 days. Liking Android means this is now perhaps the second time I've had to eat humble pie, as in the past I may have called all iPhone users sheep, but then I got an iPhone. So a second slice of humble pie? We'll see at the end of the month. Until then, thanks for watching. It's just over a year old and runs... blur.
And runs blur.
And runs blur. Hello and welcome to another SMS Projects video. I'm Stu Stones.
Oh, that's